We took hits. One of the tanks even caught fire. That was during the first week of the counteroffensive. There were times we hit mines, and we also got struck by a Lancet. Then we were given a third tank, then a fourth. This is already our fifth Leopard in 3 years.
Mines, fires, evacuations, and yet the crew is still alive and kicking. Unbelievable.
We're the only crew that's been together from the very beginning. We trained together in Germany, and to this day, we're still serving side by side.
Looks like we found the most battle-hardened tank crew of this war. Maybe even the most experienced in the entire world. For all the tank lovers watching, your support is crucial. Smash that like button to help us continue bringing you these stories from the front.
At first, I felt a strong jolt. Then I saw flames.
That was a Lancet, the nightmare fuel of every Ukrainian tanker. Friend, if you ever find yourself inside a tank on the front lines, fear this beast. The Lancet carries a KZ-6 shaped charge that can pierce up to 215 millimeters of armor. That might not sound like much since the all-around armor on a Leopard 2 is way thicker. But the thing is, this bastard always hits from above, where the armor is at its thinnest.
So after the strike, a chunk of the turret flew off. Then the jet punched through the left fuel tank and burned off the track.
Boom, and you're on your way to the afterlife. But these guys got lucky. So what saved the tank from destruction and the crew from death? You will figure it out in just a moment. But first, since we're already talking about tanks fighting for every inch of ground, let's switch to a different battlefield, where your strategy actually decides whether your nation becomes a superpower or a smoking crater. Our partner today is Supremacy World War III, a free online PvP strategy where you take command of a real country and lead it against actual players. Launch strikes from your fleet, send aviation to secure the skies, push deep into enemy territory. You're basically the captain, president, and chief troublemaker of your nation all at once. You come up with your own strategy and decide your fate. Team up with others to take over the world, or burn every treaty and go full I fight everyone mode at 3 a.m. And this season really leans into the chaos. Season 19. Fractured domination drops you into a world split apart, fighting for global control points during a literal nuclear winter, with new legendary officers and elite units joining the race for power. Speaking of officers, the new feature lets you assign powerful commanders to your armies, buffing your units and shaping your entire playstyle. Basically, generals who finally do what you tell them. And here's the part where you get an unfair advantage in the most legal way possible. Tap the link in the description or scan the QR code, and you'll receive an exclusive starter pack containing one free seasonal unit, the Elite Railgun worth $40. Yep, you start the match with a high-tech weapon that deletes problems faster than a Leopard crew fixes its tracks. Supremacy World War III works on PC or mobile, whatever you use to ignore people. It's only for new players and only for the next 30 days, so don't miss out. Because why just watch global domination when you can casually do it during your coffee break? Alright, back to the front line to find out about Leo's little secrets in the front turret. Take a look. The frontal turret armor of the Leopard 2 A6 has that distinctive wedge-shaped tip. That's how you can tell it apart from the older A4 version. That wedge significantly boosts protection, both against kinetic and shaped charge munitions, but only if the impact comes head-on. In this case, though, the strike came from above. The shaped charge jet clipped the jutting edge of the turret and deflected slightly, hitting the left side fuel tank, right next to the compartment that stores extra ammo. Even though that lucky deflection saved the crew, the jet still tore all the way down to the track. And from that point on, luck wasn't on their side anymore.
When I looked through my periscope, I saw two things: our track and burning fuel. And my left side periscope got blown out completely. Through that hole, the fire started creeping toward the ammo rack. I freaked out.
When the hatch is closed, the Leopard 2 A6 driver relies on 3 armored prisms, periscopes, to see the battlefield. Damaging one of them is extremely rare. The target is small and tough as nails. But as you can see, it can happen. A busted prism is a big deal. It means the driver is nearly blind. In combat, that's deadly. He can't see where to go, can't steer. But what's even worse? Fire licking at your ammo rack. If flames start kissing explosives, don't bother planning your trip back to base. And yet,
the commander ordered us to reverse, but I could feel the tank pulling to one side. I shouted, "We lost the track!"
Normally, if your tank is on fire and can't move, you're allowed to abandon it and save yourselves. But not these guys. They decided to keep driving with one track in a burning tank, all the way to the tree line.
Thing is, there were tracks leading out. If you veered off them, boom, minefield.
That's borderline suicidal. Somewhere, a German instructor probably fainted just hearing this.
We drove right through a minefield.
And somehow, they made it. They hid the tank under the trees, completely camouflaged. Meanwhile, the destroyed track was left behind in the middle of the field, like bait for Russian scavengers. They hunt these tanks day and night, dreaming of dragging one to Red Square. But most of the time, those hit Leopards don't end up in Moscow. They end up in the shop, getting patched up for another round.
When the recovery unit showed up, their commander asked, "Where the hell did you hide this damn tank?" Everyone saw the track in the middle of the field, but no one could find the tank.
Seeing a lone tank track in a field spotting a train car in the middle of the freeway. Everyone knows tanks can't go anywhere without tracks, just like a train without rails. But turns out Leopard 2 A6 can pull off the impossible. So what happened next?
After we lost our first tank, Command wanted to transfer our commander to another crew and split us up. But we said no way. We'll keep fighting only with our guy. So they told us, "Fine guys, take another tank and prove yourselves."
And boy, did they prove it. That's why they say, the first pancake always burns. Though, to be fair, they did keep losing tanks. But each one became a case study, textbook material for rookie tankers across the globe. Before we jump into the next case, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Real frontline soldiers share real battlefield experience here, not something you'll find in a glossy promo video. And hey, YouTube favors smart subscribers. So if you're here, you're already ahead of the curve. Thanks. Now let's roll on.
One time, we moved out for a night assault. Suddenly the electronics started glitching, and then everything just shut down.
And that's where it turns into a full-blown disaster. Because the Leopard 2 A6 isn't just a hunk of steel with a gun barrel. The magic is in its electronics. Thermals and sensors that turn night into day. Fire control systems that auto-track targets with laser precision. And that famous gun stabilizer that lets you shoot accurately while moving. Each module, from navigation to targeting, works like an orchestra. But this orchestra runs on electronics. Flip the wrong switch, and instead of a fearsome machine, you're left with a very expensive tin can. Did the engineers really not anticipate this?
Thankfully, the emergency system kicked in and we managed to roll back in emergency mode. Though, it was back across the minefield again. That was wild and terrifying.
If you've seen our Leopard 2 versus Abrams video, you've heard about this German emergency override system, something the American tank doesn't have. And if you haven't watched it yet, do it. Real soldiers, real stories. No Wikipedia fluff. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Let's hear from the Leopard's loader.
Right below my seat, there are some instruments for emergency engine restarts. I'm the only one who can reach them. No one else in the crew can get to it.
That's all we could get, because the full info is classified, military secret. So now just imagine this. In dead silence, with only drones buzzing overhead, the loader knows he holds the key to the crew's survival. A hidden panel, tucked just under his arm, that he needs to know by feel better than he knows his own butt. That's the last chance module.
This tank requires thinking, understanding what works, how it works, and how to use it in each situation.
So drop your theories in the comments. What do you think that secret emergency module really is? And while you're at it, we keep going. So this Leopard 2 A6 crew has seen it all. Open steppe, swampy lowlands, forests, and hills. But what terrain brings out the best in the Leopard?
Up here in the northern direction, it's more swampy. That makes things harder for us.
The Leopard 2 A6 is a 62-ton beast. And that's before the crew adds extra protection like steel grills and reactive armor blocks they bolt on themselves. Yes, the tracks on this German tank are wide, but not magical. On the dry, hard-packed soil of Ukraine's southern plains, they grip just right, letting the tank build speed, maneuver, pivot on a dime. But on the wet ground up north, the Leopard starts to sink and lose speed. Still, the Leopard remains the fastest of the Western tanks.
Our tactic now is simple. I drive in fast, the guys fire fast, and we get the hell out fast.
But Ukraine's Leopards face a new, deadlier enemy than tanks.
If they see you, that means a drone is already headed your way.
These buzzing killers have flipped the battlefield upside down. They're not just the #1 tank killer now, they've forced tank crews to do the dirty work of infantry support. Here's a Leopard smashing a house packed with Russian troops, another one using buildings as cover from ATGMs and artillery while firing back, and this one, rolling straight across an open field to take out a dug-in Russian bunker. But let's be honest, why get so close? Isn't that risky?
To fire using direct aim, we have to actually see the target through the scope. But up here in the north, it's all hilly. So we have to drive closer to get eyes on. It's just another thing we deal with.
See, on flat ground down south or in eastern Ukraine, Leopard 2 A6 can hit targets up to 6 kilometers away with direct fire and spot them up to 10 kilometers away. That makes it a true step killer, but it's not just a hunter. Sometimes it's a rescuer.
Once we were supporting a T-72 during an assault. Mission was completed, but on the way back, the T-72 took a hit to its engine and stopped dead.
Under heavy enemy fire, the Leopard crew towed the crippled T-72 back. And during this, the Leopard showed another side. Its engine kept going even after overheating past 120 degrees Celsius due to the extra load. That's German engineering under pressure. The convoy did hit a mine during extraction. The rescue almost ended in disaster for both tanks. But as you can guess, the crew made it. The tank didn't. So here's the big question for you. Would you risk a working tank and an entire crew to save another? When lives are often counted in resources, costs, and kill ratios, is it worth it? Let us know in the comments. We read them all, and sometimes even reply from the front. And don't forget to check out Supremacy World War III. Scan the QR code and get a starter pack with a powerful seasonal elite unit worth $40 for free.